Let's move on then and talk about a game at the top of the table, Manchester United against Liverpool. Adam sent us a message saying it was a complete and utter masterclass from Mourinho. He outdid Klopp today on every level. As someone who grew up as the student of total football, what do you think of José's approach to football?
It's allowed, no? Nobody says he
can
absolutely.
Do it. So,
yeah, and he gets his result. And he did the same against Ajax in the European Cup final. They didn't have a chance against Ajax didn't have a chance against Manchester United, and he had 2 shots on goal, and he get his result. So you have to also get respect for him to get those results. It's not my kind of play, and maybe for a lot of people also that don't like it. But at the end, the majority will be happy with the result.
We're good at writing off Jose Mourinho and criticising his approach, and then he goes and does something like today.
Oh no, you can't criticise him too much, because the record that he's done in every country that he's been to, it's not just one country. But the Italians used to do that back in the day all the time. That's how they played, every club, and they won a World Cup doing that. Actually in '82, so it's effective. But like Frank, it's not what I want to see. It's not what I want my team to do. It's not how I want to watch football.
You want to win games of football there if you're a United fan.
Yeah, exactly. But there is a little bit of entertainment there. But whilst they're winning, Manchester United fans will put up with it. But the style of Man United, all those many years, great teams, great individuals, if it he keeps winning trophies, he's going to be okay. But if it doesn't go that way,
that's the first.
You see them turn.
Yeah, that's always like that.
It was a clash of styles, wasn't it, today? And I think Liverpool have conceded something like 20 goals this season against the other top 6 clubs when they've played them. United have conceded 7, and it was a typical Mourinho smash and grab. Lukaku bullying Lovren, Rashford a couple of superb goals, and then he shut up shop. And in these big games, it's all very well saying, well, we want to be open and entertain our fans, but it's about 3 points today. Big clash, and they came out on top.
The Man United way have got in touch. They've said anyone questioning Jose Mourinho should bury their heads in the sand. Wins against Chelsea and Liverpool in a week should silence those doubting his ability to outthink opposition managers. Let's hear actually from a couple of the fans. Adam McCullough, who's with the full-time Devils, I imagine he's happy. And Drifty, probably not so much.
Look, we bossed Man United. Their second goal was lucky. They tried to target Trent. It worked to a degree, I guess. But overall, we were a much better team. And I'm proud of my boys today. I am. Let's march on. We've got to hope Tottenham drop points. We've got to hope Chelsea drop points. I think second is gone now. Man United, you are so lucky. Woo! You are so lucky.
United in the second half, we sat off them a little bit. We invited them onto us, and they got a goal for Rayi, but we held on in the end and got 3 crucial points, crucial wins against Chelsea, crucial wins against Liverpool, Crystal Palace. We've got that winning mentality back after a blip over Newcastle and Tottenham away. We need to keep it going now, Manchester United. We need to keep it going into the Sevilla game and after that, but it feels like top 4 is wrapped up at least.
And he's happy. Trent Alexander-Arnold actually went to social media afterwards. He had a comment to make, and his comment is coming up now. What did he say? I just want to apologise to all the fans. The support today was amazing. Our performance was not good enough to get the result we wanted. We will learn from this and we'll come back stronger. I want to talk about Marcus Rashford, though. Those 2 goals, brilliant from him. He's given Jose Mourinho something to think about, hasn't he?
He certainly has. And I'm delighted he has, as an Englishman. An English young player with the talent that he's got, you want him playing in every big game you can play.
Would you take him to the World Cup?
Oh, without a doubt. I think he's already there. If he doesn't kick another ball all season, I think go take him.
No, but it's a pity that the manager is Mourinho, because normally, what Glenn already said, he's an English player. You want him to give him time, and he can make mistakes, but Mourinho is not like that. He wants to get results, and if he has like 1 or 2 not good games, he puts him out. And he's a player. He's very young. How old is he? 20 something like
20, 21.
21. And yeah, he needs games, but he's so talented, and you want to see this player every week. You want to see him play.
Are you surprised he doesn't start more for United?
Yeah, I do. I think he's learning that rollout on the left-hand side as well. He tracks back. You know, that's the problem you get. Those players, Hazard had to change the shape for Hazard because he was playing like a left-back in the end. And sometimes he has to go back and play almost like a left-back. But he's doing that, and he's learning when to be back there defending, when to half, not cheat, but be a bit clever because the ball's not ready to come out there, and then he breaks. He's got that pace to break. If a manager could allow him to play that a little bit more, you'd see him be even better. But I think he's always got to be goal side with the Mourinho team. Goal side, goal side. There's times when that player can track back, but just give himself, with the pace he's got as well, play a bit cuter. He'll do that as he gets more experience, as he gets older and a bit more in the team. It's not cheating, it's being a bit shrewd. But at the moment, he's having to track back and he's having to get up there and do that stuff. And it's a lot for a young player to develop, him as a talent because he's got pace, he's got finishing.
Because and they bought Sanchez now, so it's not good for his development right now because you have Lukaku, you have Sanchez. You have Mata, Lingard, you have Martial. So for his position, it's not good, because he's still young. And if this kind of players have to play for me every week, and that's the advantage when you play like at Ajax, we will play in like 30, 40 games. And
that's a great point because in Ajax they would develop them at 19. They're going to make mistakes at that age, but you're making mistakes, you learn quickly, and they actually become players at 24, when really in England you have to get to 28 and be in your peak. They get to their peak quicker.
But they're different clubs, aren't they? Different models. Ajax
of course, that's different. But still, Ajax have to deliver.
What's the reaction though in the press and from the fans if you play a youngster at Ajax and they're a bit hot and cold, they don't always perform, and you stick with them?
No, but it's our lifeline. It's the lifeline of Ajax, and every supporter or fan, supports that. That's for sure, because they know, hey, this is how we did it from the 70s until now.
Well, you have to say it's a stroke of genius putting him in today. And the other player who's really starting to impress me is Lukaku. He's labelled a flat track bully. Very impressive against Chelsea. And again today, crucial. Key moments, crucial.
OK, a few tweets just coming in. Saeed, evening. He says De Boer is spot on. It's called tactics. You have to get the best out of your team. And let's not forget, of course, Manchester United is still a team in transition. And Rich has dropped us a note saying Manchester United played well today. It shouldn't be forgotten. It's more and more progress since Fergie left. Thanks.
Any questions for the panel? Get in touch using the hashtag BT Sports Score.
Cheers, Jules. Let's get our teeth into the football then, starting with what's just finished at Old Trafford. As you can see, Michael Owen, Robbie Savage, Paul Ince, Karen Carney and Shay Given all on hand. Of course, two of that crew played for both Liverpool and Manchester United. So, Michael, perhaps we should start with you. How significant the win, do you think, for Jose's team at Old Trafford, and were they good value for that 2-1 win?
Well, if there was any doubt before the game, it's probably cemented the top four place, let's say. Of course, the second spot is quite key. A couple of teams are involved in that still, and I think the damage was done in the first half. A couple of long balls from De Gea, Lukaku. Liverpool couldn't handle him, and then Rashford. A couple of mistakes from Alexander-Arnold as well as a right back. So Liverpool pressed in the second half, got one back, but couldn't knock the house down in the end.
No, there was a couple of perhaps debatable decisions or non-decisions. We'll get Chris Foy's view in a moment. Incy classic Mourinho, would you say, in terms of the way he set his team up, the way he defended second half?
Yeah, I think so. I think, one thing about Mourinho, he knows how to kill a game. But I was kind of wondering before the game how he'd actually trying to set up his team. He didn't park the bus, even though they were at home. He had to go. He had to go the first half, and as Michael said, got a couple of goals, and it was always going to be tough for Liverpool to get back into it. So, I mean, it was a big week for Mourinho, with Seville coming midweek today. If they lost today, he's been a bit more pressure on them. So, to get that result was a great result. I'll
put the pressure on you before we bring the referee in. Were any of the three debatable second half Liverpool shouts for penalties, in your view, penalties?
I think possibly the third one, was it Fellaini?
Yeah.
On Mane.
Tangle of legs with Mane.
I'm not sure the handball was. It was not intentional for me. It wasn't a deliberate handball. Valencia, and the first one, Salah. Was it Young on Salah in the box in the first half? No. I think the third one was a good shout. Wasn't given though.
Chris Foy, then, our referee at Chelsea Palace, which is our live game later on BT Sport. Let's get his view, an expert eye on those three incidents. Chris, were any of them penalties for you?
Quite interesting. 3 really big incidents, 3 real talking points from that particular match that we just watched. I think the third one, the Fellaini one, I think that is a penalty. I think he's tripped. I don't see the first 2 as penalties. I think, you know, the suggestion of handball isn't, and the one with Mohamed Salah again is just a normal part of football. So 1 out of 3, I think the Fellaini one is a penalty. Yeah.
Thank you, Chris. If we could have just had Robbie Savage in the little squeeze back box there on the TV, he was just dusting himself down because he got that spot on, it seems, didn't you?
Not rocket science, is it? Well, it's easy, this.
That's why you got it right. Shay, what was your view? Did Manchester United do everything right pretty much today, do you feel?
Well, it was refreshing that they come out. First half, as Incy said, and they actually had a proper go. Remember the game at Anfield this year was a really 0-0 bore draw, and Mourinho got a lot of stick for that game because Man United didn't try anything going forward. Obviously at Old Trafford they couldn't do that today, but it was refreshing. I think Rashford's first start in 2018, I don't know why he doesn't start more games. You know, he looked phenomenal. Shouldn't have been taken off, in my opinion. And as you say, 2-0 up, then Mourinho's going to obviously stiffen it up at the back and bring Fellaini on and tighten things up. And I think they deserved the win. Liverpool, for me today, were just a bit poor. Just the final pass, the final sharpness around the box just wasn't there today.
Karen, nodding your head, particularly at the, I suppose, praise for Marcus Rashford. He was the difference first half, wasn't he? It's strange that he doesn't start more often.
It is strange. You know, he's got 2 goals today, and then, as Shay said, he was taken off and arguably the best player for Manchester United. And especially when you're on for your hat-trick, you want to stay on. But obviously Mourinho is so key at seeing out the game and bringing Fellaini on. But I agree, I thought Liverpool were quite disappointing today. I think their final ball was not crisp, and also their pace to their game. Usually they're so explosive and so quick. I thought they were quite slow today, and that has to be credit to Manchester United and how they were set up.
Are they both certain top 4 finishes?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I would probably worry for Chelsea at this stage in terms of top 4. But I think Liverpool and Manchester United are a definite top 4. It's just who was going to come second. And obviously that was a big pointer today. They've gone, I think, 5 points clear of Liverpool now.
Yeah, and of course Spurs in that equation as well. Did Liverpool get their tactics wrong? They just underperform individually and collectively?
Underperform. United only 2 shots on target, 2 goals. Yeah. Interesting you mentioned Spurs. Mourinho gets hammered. Well, are they 6 or 7 points ahead of Spurs in the league? If, as Incy's already said, big week for United. They can go to the quarter-finals of the Champions League. They can progress to the semi-finals of the FA Cup. They're 6 or 7 points ahead of Spurs in the league. Yet Mourinho, whose teams have scored more than Spurs, conceded fewer, he gets hammered. Yet Pochettino's linked with the Real Madrid job. I can't work it out in my head.
Well, I suppose, playing devil's advocate, you'd say his team cost a little bit more than Mauricio Pochettino's, but...
I think what it is, I think the fans have seen, you know, the boys across the road and Manchester City and the style that they're playing football. And, you know, these fans have been brought up on the way the Man United plays. You know, and I don't think they're seeing that with Mourinho. I agree with what you say, Sav, as far as what they've achieved in the table and in Champions League, great. But the fans are so demanding that you play a certain brand of football. And if they don't see it...
So what would you rather than Spurs, who, don't get me wrong, have been very good under Pochettino, don't end the season with a trophy? Mourinho won 2 trophies last year.
I know.
And he could win a trophy this year. Yet, and so could Pochettino, the FA Cup.
You're comparing Man United with Spurs, though. Spurs, I mean, Man United have been one of the best teams in the world for 20, 30 years. Spurs are, you know, we're talking about a team that have been coming 6th and 5th for years and years, and they're gradually getting there.
Yeah, but nobody ever criticises Spurs. If that's
because
Mourinho...
they're outplaying what they've done in previous years. United, if anything, are worse than they have been in the last 20 or 30 years. They have, you know, they're winning very few trophies compared to they have 20 years ago. So, you know, you're comparing something that's an established entity that's permanently winning with someone that's with a team that's still trying to improve.
The other point, I suppose, Shay, is did the United fans board who appointed this manager surely not know what they were getting? It's not like we didn't know how Jose sets his teams up. It's successful, but it's rarely cavalier.
Well, the Fergie years, I mean, it was all attacking football, you know, and Michael will tell you more, but, you know, the way they played football, the brand of football, it was always on the front foot, always entertaining, always trying to score goals, never set up for a draw. Fergie was always out to win games. Now, Mourinho is all about getting results, and to be fair to Sav, he is right, he got 2 trophies last year, and a team before Mourinho joined was really, really struggling. So he has improved Manchester United as a football club. Yes, they're probably going to run up runners-up this year in the Premier League because Man City are being so good this year, but he has to get credit as well where credit's due.
They've beaten Liverpool today. It's, I'm sure, a cause for celebration. Let's see what Jules is getting into way of reaction. Jules.
Yeah, well, actually, it's reaction to our poll that we put out on Twitter earlier on today, based on what Shay was just talking about there. Who would you rather play under, Jurgen Klopp or Jose Mourinho? And despite this lunchtime's results, 70% of you say you'd still rather play under